What's going on, DBI? You know who I am. I'm Riz, and I want to do this video as kind of like a retouch to what I was trying to talk about last night in the live stream. I did have to take a phone call from my family, so I apologize that I didn't get all of this out. And I wanted to really get this done so that the people it was kind of intended for would have a chance to actually hear what I want to say. So as you can see right over here, this is a roleplay review about reviews and replies from, things that we say on the chat channel, replies that we have to logs that you guys may have. And I just want to clear the air on some things and just make my personal opinion known about these roleplays and the replies that you guys are getting. A lot of this, for people who were in the stream last night, is going to be kind of a rehash. You're already going to know, so you're probably going to skip this video, but at least thank you for clicking on it and watching it. But a lot of this goes, excuse me, back years and years ago. I have been playing DBI and have been role-playing on DBI since I was like 15 years old. And I'll be 38 in about 2 weeks, so you can do the math on there. We got about 23 years of roleplay experience, and Luke has been there right by my side. Sorry, Eichenbahn has been there right by my side for almost that entire time. So when we review each other's logs, I've noticed it, and I'm guilty of it. It seems like we just want to give each other praise because it's like, oh, that's my best friend, and here's this log that he did with somebody else, and I'm going to spend 30 minutes talking about how great he is, and then, oh yeah, the other person was good there. And I don't ever want anybody to feel that way. I don't ever want people to think like the whole purpose of us making these videos is just so that, we can fluff each other in front of everybody, and just make it seem like we're just stroking each other's egos. We do that in private. But I do want to say some things about the current cast that we have and the current group of role players that we have, especially the Lightning Spear crew and the like Nigmus coming back, and Natalie starting to be more active in it. And you guys, especially the Lightning Spear crew, I will speak directly to you guys. You guys came in at a time where roleplay was kind of in a lull. The only real thing that we had kind of going on that was consistent was the doll maker, and even that took a very long time to do because participants had been gone, taking a break from the mud, and other people just weren't really picking it up, despite us having a constant flux of people with bios that they wanted to get authorized. So then you guys come along and you again get auth bios, and maybe it was me giving people a nudge, because when I see that people have an authorized biography but there's no roleplay happening, I call you out. Maybe it's my bad. I call people out and like, hey, I see that you have an auth bio, I authorized it, where's my RP? And then you guys took that and you ran with it, and you started role-playing. You came up with your own stories, you came up with your own NPCs, and you just started RPing, and it was good. It is good. Not that it was, like, it is currently good. And the one thing that as an admin I am probably the most appreciative of is that you guys ingratiated yourselves within the existing system and within the existing world, rather than take this, and I'll say it, rather than take this dead RP universe and say, well, I'm the only one RPing, so now it's going to be mine. No, you guys came in, kind of looked around, and was like, hey, what's the vibe here? And we're like, oh, like, yeah, if you want to do this thing, it's like this, like, cool. And then you did it, and you became part of the community, and you guys became really the driving force to revitalize roleplay. So please never, when we do a review for you guys, do you think that we are coming down on you and we're not giving you your props and your praise, because I will say it right now, from the end of 2022 to right now, recording this in February 1st of 2023, you guys are the revitalization of Dragon Ball Infinity roleplay. You directly brought roleplay back to life, at least in this time frame. And not just did you bring it back to life because you guys are the ones role-playing. I said this last night. The only reason that I made Zulker is because I paid a little bit of attention to what you guys were doing. It seemed really interesting. All of the characters and cast that you have seemed really cool and interesting, and I was like, I want to go mess with those guys. I want to get involved with that. So when I say you revitalized it, you brought me back into the fold in a way that I wanted to not just give you a villain to beat up once and then forget about. I'm invested into this character. I want this to be a constant character. And Ike and I were talking. He was like, "Yeah, you're really putting into Zulker as you would any other of your main characters, and you're really trying to bust your writing chops to give this character your all." And that's a great compliment from him. Yes, thank you, but it's because of you, right? I want Zulker to be your ultimate bad guy. I want him to be a nuisance. I want, if DBI is still around in 10 years, that we talk about and we say, like, remember when we had Hypothermus and Misho and Cordio and Leylin, and then, they're like, remember Zulker? Remember that motherfucker, Zulker, that evil son of a bitch? He was a great villain. That's what I want. And you, when we do these logs together, when you guys write these logs, just know that everything that we don't talk about stems from how great that you guys were at the beginning and how great you are now. And I want people to understand that, I really appreciate you guys coming in and being a part of our community and ingraining yourself with what already exists, instead of, you could have easily came in and said, "Hey, nobody's doing anything with this. It's now mine. It's going to be how I want it, the way I want it, because nobody's doing anything with it." And you didn't do that. So thank you for that. And then when it comes to the actual replies themselves, the things that we talk about, I always said that I want to be some sort of writer of fiction that nerds will then argue about the things that I did not write in my fiction. Right? And what I mean by that is I will write a story, and within that story there are characters, and there are characters who interact with one another, and there are characters who don't interact with one another. And I want people to talk about the not interactions, right? The things that actually weren't words on page, because that way I know people are invested, they give a shit, and they really care, right? So we have this all the time, like, during the Namek saga, who was stronger, Piccolo or Vegeta? During the Android saga, who was stronger, Piccolo or Vegeta? Those two have never fought one another, yet there's still speculation going around. People speculate, like, oh, if Nappa went Super Saiyan, would he grow? Would he grow hair? Would this happen? Would that happen? And when all the things that aren't being said are being discussed, that means you have a really good bit of writing. That means you have at least one person is invested in it. And I know that when we do these reviews, that can seem like what 90% of it is. That's what we're talking about. We're saying, Hypo learned how to speak, but yet where is he cognitively in this whole war kind of ordeal? And it's like, well, what happened on page, right? Like, we're talking about Hypo fighting this person, and let's discuss that. And I do want to get more back to that. I want to get back to discussing words on page. And even Ike last night said, yeah, I'll discuss more words on page, but he also feels that discussing not that stuff gets more people to discuss that stuff on Discord, and that's great, right? Like, let's have more conversations about our characters. I would love if everybody would just like, hey, like, my character does this, and they're thinking this way. I love getting a deeper dive into characters from the writer's perspective versus just what we see on page, because that lets me know that there are other weird freaks out there who are constantly having these characters in their head like me. So that makes me feel good. Thank you. But yeah, I really want us to kind of get back to more of like discussing, like, oh, I liked the way that this post specifically touches on something from something previous, just so that we can let you guys know that yes, we read it, we didn't just skim it, and then here are our footnotes of what we think is going on. So This video is running kind of long. I didn't want it to be that long, but I did just kind of want to surmise my thoughts about, you know, how we're approaching reviews to your logs, and hopefully just if there is any sort of like sour feeling that anybody has, I mean, you can always come talk to us. You can always come to us and say like, hey man, like that's really cool, but I feel like you're kind of kicking me down, and we're not trying to do that. But we are human, and if it comes off that way, come talk to us. Because through Zote, Eichenbahn, and myself, and whoever that may read your roleplay, you can very kindly and respectfully tell us to piss off if we're way off the mark on something about your character. Because at the end of the day, it's your character, and roleplay doesn't happen if you guys don't do it, and you won't do it if it's not fun. So if we're making it unfun by the way that we're responding and the way that, you know, we're rewarding logs, please let us know, so that way we can definitely change it. None of us are Billy Badass King who is just going to be like, nah, you're going to do it my way, or it's my way or the highway. We don't rendo around here with roleplay, so you're safe with us. But anyway, this video has gone on for over 10 minutes. I didn't want it to. I am Riz. I'm your head admin, and I will see you guys maybe on the chat channel, maybe on an Infinity News Network, maybe Rizzy Firecracker is gonna make a